Sergei Gibson. I've been involved in photography for over 46 years with Gibson's Photography, and as you know, we've covered all of Vancouver Island doing school photos and graduation portraits and large group pictures and all that kind of fun stuff. I hope I'm not going to bore you today, but my great-grandfather started in 1880 up and down the coast as a missionary, but also he did a lot of photography too. And over there, if you'd like to look later on, there's quite a few old pictures of Bella Coola, rivers, inlets, all up and down the coast of native villages and totem poles and all that type of thing. In Bella, there's a picture of my great-grandfather hanging in the church there, and I had to go up there a few years ago and do school photos up there. I'd never been there before, and that was quite an eye-opener. I had to stay there for a week because of the way the ferry ran, and so the secretary there, she said, "Would you do some nice pictures of my two boys?" I said, "Sure, we can do that." So I took school pictures during the day and I did family portraits in the evening. And so I took some nice pictures of her two boys and made up some prints. And her husband took me out halibut fishing one day, and he was supposed to meet him on the dock at 6 in the morning. Well, he must have been on Indian time. I had to go chase him down at 9 in the morning. And little I know, he just lived next door to where the wharf was. So we went out halibut fishing, and we had just hand lines with a cod jig on it, and we fished around and caught about a 14-pound. It was a red snapper, and then a little later on, this guy comes hooting up there in a little aluminum boat. He had a rifle in the boat, and he had a deer across the front, and we're talking about March. And I said, "Hey," I said, "Well, how come you're shooting this time of year?" He says, "To hell with you, I'm Indian." "Oh, okay, sorry." So they can hunt all year round. So anyways, it just at that point in time, I had a strike, and we end up pulling it up, and it was a 180-pound halibut. And when it broke the surface, he took his gun and went boom and shot it in the head. I guess it was lucky in a way because we'd never have got it in the boat. They're pretty strong. But that was that little trip about Bella. But over the years, we incorporated the studio in 1896, and in 1909 is when we started doing all the school pictures up and down the island, little one-room schools all over the place. Maybe you're lucky to have a two-room school. But we used the 5x7 view camera. That's that big one there with the red bellows on it, and that was a 5x7 negative. And we made contact prints, and they were 5x7 class pictures. And we started off in 1909 at 25 cents each, and in 1956 they went up to 60 cents. But then shortly after that, color came in, so that was the end of that era. But they were all hand printed. Each paper came in boxes of 500 sheets from Kodak, and they were called Azo F2 double weight. And we would take a sheet of paper out, put it on the top of the negative, pull the lever down, and figure out 2 or 3 seconds, 4 seconds. You go 1, 2, 3, and lift it up, and then give it to somebody, and they were developing them. And they went from the developer to the shortstop to the hypo. And we used to buy our chemistry in 50-pound sacks and make our own up, mix it ourselves. And that was done for years. And once color came in, it was a different kettle of fish altogether. It was, for the school photos, it was a 100-foot roll of film, and you'd have 1,000 shots on it. So pretty much on a school day, you would never have to change film. You just keep shooting, sit down, smile, shut up. So that went on and it was all automatically printed. And then once digital kicked in, well, that was a different story altogether. All the photos that were done with the wet process, it was done, finished, and it went into digital. But at that point in time, it would have cost us about $1.75 million to switch over. And we thought, well, we're not a big company. Is it worth it? So this Life Touch is a huge American company, and they were across Canada and through the States too. And they offered us to buy out. And we thought, well, we better sell it or they might kill us with, price structures and whatever else they do. So we sold out to Life Touch. But I still have a son and a daughter-in-law still managing the company for them, for the island and also Smithers area. But they sold out just recently to another company, and then that company sold out, and the last price I heard for North America, that's Canada and the U.S., was $2 billion. I thought, wow, take a long time to get that kind of money back. $2 billion, and we sold for under $1 million. Give you an idea, but we're a little company too. But we did a lot of weddings and family groups too. I've probably attended to more than 5,000 weddings in my career, and Friday night, Saturday, Sundays. A lot of East Indians, they always got married on Sunday. So really, sometimes I didn't get a day off for a few months, especially in the summertime. But it was fun. It was a busy time for sure. And we did do a lot of outdoor photography too, family groups, and besides the indoor stuff. And we also had a company, or like a club like yourself. Ours was called PPABC, which was Professional Photographers of America, or of BC. And it was all the BC photographers would get together, and we'd have a meeting once a month. And so oftentimes we'd have a meeting in Victoria, or we'd have a meeting in Vancouver, and sometimes a little further north for the northern people. But once a year we'd have one great big convention of everybody that could make it. But it was kind of neat in one way. We'd fly to Vancouver, and the cost was $9. So you can tell you how long ago that was. But we'd have conventions, and we'd have contests and in photography, and give out ribbons and prizes and all that type of thing. And they'd have to be a print about 16 by 20 like that to enter. And one time, my wife was in the dark room and she was printing. We were going to do this picture of this young fella standing there, and it turned out she made some mistakes and forgot to put two color slides in, and so the whole image was light and dark blue, so we called it the Blue Boy. And that won the prize for the whole convention. And how did you do that? Wow. They never told it was a mistake. But it was quite pretty, actually. And what else can I tell you? Is there any questions at all? Anybody that's interested in photography and doing that type of thing?
Did your grandfather, who was a missionary and he was a photographer, did he continue being a missionary and still?
For many years, yes. He was up and down the coast for. I never did meet him because he passed away before I was even born. But no, about 25 years, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and there's a picture of the ship in there that he traveled on. Yeah, it was a big old wooden, all the way up almost to Alaska. Yes, and so he saw a lot of pretty wild country.
So his son, your father, took over from him?
Well, yes, actually, yes, he did. Like when my great-grandfather was still in photography to a degree, my grandfather was interested at the time, so he learned from him and dabbled in it, and then in 1896 started his own business, and he only had grade 3 education. In those days you didn't go to school very often, but he ran a business of about 35 people, So they did a lot of, especially during the First and Second War, nobody had cameras, and so everybody wanted pictures, of their soldiers and everybody heading out of the country. And when we were processing, we had 55 people working in our lab. We had it on Glanford Avenue, and we had the color printers and the spotters and the packagers and the printers and it was it was all procedure.
Whereabouts on Blandford Avenue, or because I grew up in Blandford Avenue?
Oh, we're right next to the main post office.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a big building there, and there used to be a water company on part of it, and we were in the other part. And now I believe there's an animal clinic in there. Yeah, so you'll know the building I mean then. Yeah, no, we were there for many years. It's a 2-story building, and we had the studio and the office area in the main floor, and all the lab upstairs. So it worked out pretty good.
So this is a 5-generation?
5 generations, yes. Yeah. So we've got, my wife and I, well, we've been married 61 years now, and we have 3 sons and 4 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
So we had 4 little girls born in 5 years. That's got to be crazy. It was all boy, and all of a sudden, bam, what happened? But they're fun little things. They're pretty crazy. But
Where did you go to school?
sorry?
Where did you go to school?
I went to Royal, well, first, let's see, I started off in Colwood Elementary, then we moved to Prospect Lake, and I went to Prospect Lake, the old school on West Saanich that they burnt down at fire practice. Then I went to Royal Oak. I think that's where I met you at, and Nori, and I don't know who else in here. Anyways, we went there, and then I went there only for 1 year, and then I was at Esquimalt before that, high school, and I wasn't too happy at Royal Oak because there wasn't enough in the way of sports projects. So I liked track and field and rugby and soccer, and so I went back to Esquimalt and competed there and graduated from there. But that's a long time ago.
And how long have you had your house on Prospect Road?
Sorry?
How long have you had your house on
Oh,
Prospect Road?
I was 17 years old, and I bought 83 acres at that time, and we're still there. Yeah, but then you can afford things. It was $3,100 the total price.
And
500.
you built next door, didn't you? You built your new house next door.
Yeah, we built a couple of places there now. Yeah, that's right. But it's funny because everything there now, even little shacks, are going for over $1 million. I don't know how they can afford it. It's brutal. Yeah.
You bought 83 acres right on?
It's just above the lake, overlooks the lake, about halfway down Prospect Lake, and if you're going towards Burnside, it's on the right-hand side. And so we run, I have a cattle feedlot there, so we have cattle, and a friend of mine has a slaughterhouse between Duncan and Lake Couch, and then he brings me skinny cows or young cows, and I bring them up to a good size, and then he picks them up and brings me more.
So you still have the 83 acres?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you still have the fish ponds?
Yeah, we do. Although we're having trouble with otters and eagles and things and herons. Yeah. one big trout was about this big swimming around and had a hole right through it, but I guess the heron speared it but couldn't get it out. But it seemed to survive. Yeah. So I don't know if I could give you much more information. I did photograph. There's a picture in there of Pamela Anderson, and it's in a magazine. And I photographed her in Ladysmith when she was in grade 7, I believe. And it shows her in grade 7, and wow, later. But the magazine paid us $1,000 for that image. So sometimes photography pays. But there's also, I did Freddie Fender and Charlie, Freddie Fender, John Belleville, Princess Alexandra. That was an interesting one. My little son Rob and myself, we had to cover her visit here in Victoria for 2 days, and we had to get RCMP checked and everything like that. We had to wear a tag and then a necklace or whatever you call it. Yeah, dog tag. And we did hundreds of pictures for the Canadian Scottish Regiment and for the city. But that was pretty interesting. Some of those old pictures there too, we sent the old negatives and slides to Ottawa and gave them to their museum. And I think Victoria has some too. But if you folks would like to look at them, you're more than welcome to.
Could you tell us what happened to all the negatives for all those pictures?
Well, we gave them to Ottawa and Victoria, but we made prints first for ourselves, and a lot of them are there now for you to view. Yeah.
Did we find all the Royal Oak pictures that we would...
Those ones. No, we gave them. All the negatives that we had of every school, we gave them back to the schools. So hopefully they put them in their libraries. All the class pictures and things like that.
Those pictures in Royal Oak are all with the Sydney Archives.
Oh, okay.
Royal
Oh,
Oak-
that's right.
Royal Oak,
Yes.
Ken Bergeron, and they found them in a box of stuff there.
Yeah.
And they're all with the Sydney Archives now, so they have the entire set. of
Oh,
Royal Oak
good.
pictures.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, right. Well, at least they're still around. They're 5x7 negatives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're excellent. They're in excellent shape.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Was it all of them, Diane?
All of them went there. Yeah.
Year by year, and some would be whole school pictures, some would be staff pictures,
Yeah,
sports
although-
groups.
Yeah, randomly, I think Ken Bergeron, they were tidying up or something when they were doing the middle school, and they found this box, and inside it were all the pictures.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's
So
neat.
these
Yeah.
Sydney
Hidden
Archives-
treasure.
Yeah, that's there. Because I've had some printed from there, and they come out just like they were perfectly just
Right.
done.
Well, when we were doing the class pictures all by hand, and they would be, once they hit the hypo, then they'd be left there for so many minutes, and they'd be taken out, and they'd be put in a big tub of water. There would be 2 tubs, and they'd be put in this tub of water, and they would be switched around, and the water would be drained, and then they'd be put in the other tub, and then they'd be going back and forth 16 times before they were put out to dry. So that way all the chemistry left it, so that's why they don't go brown.
They scan
Yeah.
absolutely perfectly.
Oh,
The
good.
old photos like that,
Yes.
and the newer ones when they first came into color,
Uh-huh.
they are terribly poor to scan.
Oh, I
Not
get.
good at all.
Yeah. Well, the color it just didn't have the staying power, I guess you'd say. Yeah. Well, another thing too with color, if you have a picture hanging on the wall and the sun hits it, it won't be long and it'll be faded.
Yeah.
They fade out the dyes in the pictures there. Okay.
Because our main interest is Royal Oak, people lived in Royal Oak, the people who went to Royal Oak School. One of our projects has been to collect class photos. And getting a really close look at the photos, you see some pretty goofy things that the kids are doing.
Tell me about it.
The classic one that I was seeing was one from Mountain View, where fully half class either appears to be or does actually have their eyes closed. So I wonder, can you tell us some goofy things you've seen the kids do?
Oh, yes, but I don't know if I should tell you. We had a panorama camera, and it was built in around shortly after 1900, and it was a huge camera, bigger than that, and it would rotate like this, and the film was 6 inches wide and 6 feet long, and you'd get 2 images on it, and we only used it for private schools like Brentwood College, Shawnigan Lake, and St. Michael's, that's right, yeah. But I remember one time, I think it was Brentwood College, yes. We had to set all the chairs and benches up in a semicircle, because if you didn't, it had to be a certain distance away from the lens. And if you hit it straight, then the picture would go back this way. So anyways, we get it all set up, and I get the camera aimed at this side here, and I nod to the principal, and he says, yeah, go. So I start the camera up, and it runs on its own, and it rotates around like this. Well, one kid was at this end, and he decided he'd pop down, and he ran around behind the whole group, and he popped up at the other end. So he's at both ends. We sent the proof up, and oh, wow. Something hit the fan, that's for sure. Then another time, we do the whole school groups, and I'd have to get up on the school roof and shoot down at the group there. And you're looking at 400 or 500 people, or 600. It's a huge group. And I'm looking down and say, okay, well, I hold my hand up, so I'm ready to take a picture. So I took these pictures, and I never noticed it, but right in the middle was a boy and a girl, and they're both mooning the camera. I go, okay, now what do we do? So, and they were in every. I took 3 shots. They were doing it in every shot. So I said, Principal, well, we can take care of it. You don't want those guys in the picture, do you? He says, no. So we did some artwork and eliminated them totally, so they weren't there at all. But that's just some of the fun things that happen. Yeah. Okay, well, if you folks.
As a child, I can remember being so excited to know that you guys were coming. I mean, that was a big thing for us in those days.
Oh yeah, it's a happy day.
So how much we enjoyed it and how much we appreciated it.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed doing it too.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
So exciting with picture day.
Yeah. Teachers didn't like it. The kids be that high off the ground.
How many of your kids are doing it now?
Sorry?
How many of your kids do photography?
I've just got, just one son is, I have 3 sons, but 2 are in excavating and one is still in photography. And he's not actually taking pictures anymore. He's managing the whole island plus Smithers area. So he's got a lot on his plate, I think they have 15 photographers. So it's quite a job to just schedule everything every day. And if somebody phones in sick, then it's a big panic. How do you cover it? But that 2 photographers up in Smithers quit, and Bruce had to fly 2 of the fellows here up there for a week to cover till they could retrain people. Yeah. Shirley.
Sergei, I just wanted to ask you, knowing you for about 47 years, and so when did you start carving?
Oh, I started carving when I was about 10 years old.
Did you?
Yeah.
That well hidden.
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, but.
It's not there out in front of your place.
Oh yeah. I've done totem poles and all kinds of stuff, but I try not to do that anymore. I had a couple of Indian fellas come over, and they were looking at. I did a big totem pole about this big around and 7.5 feet high, and they were looking at it, and one of them said to me, "Jesus Christ, Gibson, you must have been Indian in your other life." Oh, I go, thanks for the compliment, guys. I got about 350 out at the farm right now. Yeah, but
I think we need a tour there.
well, you're welcome to if you'd like to sometime as a funsy thing, you know, because I've got them in Alaska and Japan, Scotland, States, but I don't advertise. I don't want to do that. I just, you know, yeah, it's just keep it sort of word of mouth.
That would be
Yeah.
nice to have a tour.
Yeah. Okay, folks, gonna.
I got one question. Do you use chainsaw or all handwork or what?
Oh, well, I use two big gas saws. Some of the bars are this long, so it's a pretty big saw, and that down to electric saws, and then into electric grinders, and then hand chisels and little demo grinders and things for putting in eyes and, you know, tiddly stuff, eh? But most of the feathers and hair and different things is done with electric chainsaw. But the bigger blocking out, you take a log like this, you cut a slice off it, you do your side image, you take off everything that isn't what it is, you know, you take that away and then you go to the front and then you keep going down. But it was funny, one day a couple came up and I was working on an eagle, and she says, "Oh, that's nice, it's an eagle." And I said, "Well, thanks, you recognize it?" She said, "Yes." And then she said, "Well, what if you make a mistake?" Well, I said, "I don't really have a problem." She said, "Well, what do you mean?" I just end up with a hummingbird. Yeah.
Didn't you have a mill up there?
Yeah, we had a mill one time, yeah, till the neighbors complained and we had to move it to the reserve.
83 acres and you still-
Yeah. This is what a lot of you remember over the years is this is a 5x7 view camera, and it takes a 5x7 film, and you have film holders, and you put the film one on each side in the dark room, load it up, and it has a silver side on it, and you slide the holder in the back here like that, and then you pull the slide out, and then you take the picture. It usually has a plunger here, and you get it all set up, and you take the picture, and then you put your slide back in, but you turn it to the black side so that you know that it's exposed, so you're not doing double exposures. And so you pull it out, and then if you want to take another picture, then you pull it this back again and turn it over and slide it back in. So it's a little bit tricky, but you know, this was the size of the pictures and the film, the whole thing here. We used to buy sheets of 100 at a time and load them in the dark room. Everything was in the total dark. But, sorry?
Does it still work?
I would imagine it would, yeah. Well, this is probably my age, and I still work.
Too much information.
Too much information, right?
How old is it?
Sorry?
How old is it?
This one? It's in the. This was probably the 20s. Yeah, it's all mahogany wood around it, and leather bellows, and brass fittings.
Does it have
There-
is there a viewfinder, or do you just point it the direction you want?
No, you put it on a tripod, and you have a black cloth, and you open the lens up and you view through it. That's why I always wear the black cloths over it to see what you're doing, and you view through and get your image, and then you shut the lens down to f11 or something like that, whatever the light is during the day, and then you take your picture, and then you got to do that again to the next class and so on. Yeah, so it took a bit of time. This one over here is a I think it's a camera. It's be put on a tripod for sure. And this is a film holder here, and this took 100-foot roll of film, and you'd get 1,000 exposures off it. So, and it's all automatic. You view through here, and and your trigger release is here, and this camera would advance to the next exposure. You hear it go click, and away it goes, and on it went, and your viewing was through this side here, on this mirror image here. But this was they're even more modern now. This is a little older one. The new ones now are even I guess bigger and better. I don't know. They were that one was probably taken with a newer camera. That image there of a grade 12 student. And this one here is what we do now. This replaced this one. This is a 120 film, and this is an old camera that took film. I didn't bring a digital one with me. They were using them, but this would do your class pictures, your groups, and this was a workhorse of the professionals for weddings and family groups too. They used all this format here, so it's quite a difference in size. So,
That's great.
okay. Thank you for your time.